Hello and welcome. This is a 10-minute program to release your lovely hips. We're going to need a chair, a blanket, and a strap. And I'm going to start with what we call the number 4 shape. We're going to take the blanket, fold it, and then we're going to sit on a chair. And if you know that you tighten the hips, then you would have maybe more blankets underneath the bottom. Have your feet apart about hip distance, and then starting with your right foot, flex the ankle, lift up the foot, and place it onto the left thigh. Press down into the left foot so this side of the body stays very stable. And if this leg won't stay here on its own, then place your hands on the front of your shin. And your intention here is to try and let this right thigh go a little bit heavy. If you're very restricted, if it feels terribly uncomfortable, then please build up your seat. The more blankets you have underneath your bottom, the better this pose will feel. Keep grounding down into the foot that's on the floor. You might be able to let go of the leg, and you might be able to hook your hands under the chair. And then depending on where you are, you might be able to extend forward over the leg. And you say, "Ooh, I love my juicy glute." And that's where you should be feeling a great stretch right now. Please keep the flexion on the ankle though, so the leg doesn't flop. And then release, and we'll do that number 4 shape on the other side. So feet apart, flex the foot, place that ankle up on the thigh. Keeping the flexion on the ankle is just going to keep the leg charged, and that's important. And then we press down into the foot that's on the floor. Again, if the leg doesn't stay there on its own, then just gently press in the front of the shin. We are looking to try and maintain good posture whilst we get into the posterior hip and we release the glute. If you're comfortable, you can hook your hands under the chair, and if there's any range of motion, you can extend forward and just feel more of a stretch in that lovely glute. Maintaining posture all the way through, please. And then release. So that's the posterior part of your hips. Now we're going to get into the anterior, and we're going to come onto the floor. I'm just going to turn the chair, and this time I'm taking the blanket for my knees, and I'm going to fold it, and I'm going to kneel. And I'm going to do the proposal position, but I'm going to extend it a little bit further. So my leg goes forward, and I bring the chair on the inside of the leg. I press down into the right foot, squeeze the knee to the chair, maintain great posture, and I'm getting a stretch here in the anterior hip in the muscle group known as the psoas major. Some of you might be able to go a little bit deeper, and if you can, then you'd put your elbows on the chair. But please pay attention to that upper back. At no time should it be rounded. Keep that chest nice and high. A few breaths here, and we do the other side. So the left leg goes forward. Nice long stride. Please be careful that your knee is nicely over the top of your ankle. We don't want it to look like this because that kind of closes the back of the knee. Find a position where you've got great upper body posture, and you're inviting that back hip to lengthen, that back thigh to drop, and you may or may not go a little bit lower onto your elbows as long as you've got that great upper body posture. Keep some pressure into that left foot so we're nice and stable in the pose. And this really is a stretch we should all do every day for the health of the hips. And then release. Now we're going down onto the floor, so I'm just going to lie on the back, and I'm going to use the strap. I'm going to have a blanket under my head just for pure comfort. and I'll lie on the back. So the next one, we're going to get into the lateral hip, so the outside edge of the hip. We're going to bring the strap around the right heel, and we're going to extend the right leg up straight, and we're going to straighten out the left leg. Then we bring the strap into our left hand, we put the right arm on the floor, we breathe in, and as we exhale, we pull the leg across the body. And as we do that, the hip should lift up, so you get that nice lateral release here through the outside of the hip and the IT band. If you have to bend the knee, that's okay, but eventually you're going to aim to keep that leg nice and straight. And I recommend you do each pose for about 3 to 5 breaths, or if you have more time, then maybe 5 to 8 breaths. Then we bring that leg up to the center, we bend the knee, and we do the same thing on the other side. Strap across the heel, straighten the leg, right leg goes out straight, then we hold onto the strap with a right hand, left arm stays on the floor and the palm of the hand is facing up. We pull the leg across the body, we feel the hip lift, we feel the waist twist, but we're trying to keep this arm down on the floor. This will release the spine as well as that lateral hip, getting into the IT band as well. And then release. And then our final one, front of the hip. We will bring soles of the feet together. We let the knees drop out to the side. We rest the arms wherever we're comfortable. And we take a nice passive opening for the front of the hips here in the groin. This is also a really good pose for indigestion, bloatedness and gas. And it's a pose that we recommend for all men for the health of the prostate. In our 10-minute hip program today, we're doing it for the benefit of the hips. Let's take 2 more breaths here, inviting the thighs to go a little bit heavy. And then we would bring the knees up to the center, roll to the side, and then bring yourself up. So that concludes our 10-minute program for the hip. We stretched out the posterior hip, the anterior hip, the lateral hip, and then we finish with a nice passive hip opener at the end.